You know that Donald Trump realizes he's in a world of trouble as it relates to his budget bill passing when this is the spin he's debuting.
Waste, fraud, and abuse.
Can you guarantee that your voters who supported the re-election, particularly working class voters, will not lose health insurance under this bill?
Oh, they won't lose health insurance. Not only that, remember, I'm cutting drug prices by 85%. And right now, I'm saving it. I'm saving the whole thing because I did something that nobody was willing to do. Other countries pay a tiny fraction what we do, and I instituted favored nations. We're now going to pay the lowest in the world. We're going to be the equivalent of the lowest country in the world.
That's Donald Trump claiming that his supporters, quote, won't lose health insurance, which should come as a surprise to reality, which is that a staggering 13.7 million Americans stand to lose their health coverage if Donald Trump's budget actually gets passed. According to the bipartisan Joint Economic Committee, cuts to Medicaid and the Affordable Care Act would result in roughly 13.7 million people losing their health insurance by 2034. So I get that it's convenient for Trump to pretend that no one will lose their health coverage, but millions upon millions of Americans will. And he knows that, but this isn't about the truth, and it certainly isn't about protecting his voters. It is about selling them a bill of goods that ultimately protects the wealthiest Americans and getting that bill of goods passed by any means necessary. If that includes straight up gaslighting the very people who he's about to fuck over, then so be it. In fact, it would be nothing new for Donald Trump. He came into office in 2017 amid promises that he would deliver a middle-class tax cut that never materialized, an infrastructure law that never materialized, a jobs boom that never materialized, a healthcare plan that was cheaper and more comprehensive that never materialized. But you know what did materialize? A tax cut for millionaires and billionaires and corporations. Trump's entire MO is promising the world to his supporters and then delivering only for his wealthy donors. He did it then, and he's doing the exact same thing now. He then goes on to say that he's, quote, cutting drug prices by 85%. Right. Why not just say you're cutting by 99% while you're at it? I'm sorry, but anybody who thinks that drug prices are going to fall by 85% because Donald Trump wrote an executive order decreeing it like he's some royal overlord has no idea how this actually works. You know how you lower drug prices? You allow one entity, the government, to negotiate them down. It's called single payer, where the single payer in this instance is the government. It's a system that we don't have and that Republicans largely refuse to adopt. The reason that drug prices are cheaper in other countries is because they allow their governments to negotiate on behalf of all of their citizens. In America, though, it's every man for himself. And so no wonder we have high drug prices. We've got no bargaining power. And Big Pharma spends a shitload of money entrenching that very system. So again, Trump can pretend that he's doing something, but he knows that he's not. In fact, pharmaceutical stocks are mostly up this week. And admittedly, I'm no genius when it comes to the stock market, but I would think that if the US suddenly defeated Big Pharma and mandated 85% cuts to drug prices, their stock prices would probably not go up, they would go down. But hey, other than that, airtight logic. And look, I hope that drug prices do come down. That's why I supported the provision in the Inflation Reduction Act allowing the government to negotiate down 10 drug prices, and that 10 should turn into 10,000. And this Republican-led Congress could do that if they wanted to. But it doesn't want to. It would rather let Donald Trump continue pretending, cosplaying that he can actually do it without ever having to deliver those results. They are perfectly content to let their constituents be manipulated, lied to by Trump, while they themselves work for their real master, the millionaires and billionaires who fund their campaigns and desperately want their tax cuts. But then Donald Trump goes on.
You campaigned on lowering the price of groceries. How will you justify cutting food assistance in this bill?
Let me just tell you, the cut is going to give everybody much more food because prices are coming way down. Groceries are down. Eggs. You told me about eggs. You asked me a question about eggs my first week. You said eggs. I said, I just got here. Tell me about eggs. And it was going through the roof. You know that eggs now, way down. Everybody's buying eggs. Groceries down. Energy's down. Gasoline is now they're buying gasoline now for $1.99.
Oh, cutting $230 billion from SNAP benefits is going to give more people food. Here I was thinking that when you cut funding, it means less money to fund those programs. But apparently, I was mistaken. You know what? Why don't we also cut military funding and get a stronger military? Why don't we cut healthcare funding and get more healthcare? Why don't we cut congressional salaries and they can make more money? I'll tell you what, I, for one, am very hopeful about this new math and all of the opportunities that it presents. In reality, for those living on Earth 1, cutting $230 billion from SNAP benefits does not offer anyone more food. And thanks to Donald Trump's trade war, food prices are not slated to decrease, but in fact, the polar opposite. According to the Economic Research Service, in 2025, overall food prices are anticipated to rise slightly faster than the historical average rate of growth. In 2025, prices for all food are predicted to increase 3.5%, with a prediction interval of 1.9 to 5.1%. Food at home prices are predicted to increase 3.2%. Food away from home prices are predicted to increase 3.8%. In other words, food prices are not only going to rise, but rise faster than average. If you're not yet realizing it, when Trump says anything, you can basically just expect the polar opposite to be true. But still, he'll say it because the people around him are collectively too chicken shit to push back. In fact, far from offering any pushback, they genuflect at the altar of Donald Trump.
And I think this was a tremendous session. You may want to say something.
Yeah, it was a great meeting. The party is unified. The House Republican Conference is excited. Multiple standing ovations. They love this president. The people back home love what he's doing. It's historic, and everybody understands the scope and the meaning of this. If we do not accomplish this mission, every one of you, all the American people, are going to have the highest tax increase that you've ever had. And among the debt ceiling cliff that's approaching and all the other problems, this is the bill to do it. I think we're going to get it done, Mr. President.
Multiple standing ovations? Well then, as long as Trump's sycophants and mouthpieces stood up and clapped for him, then I think our work here is done. And notice how Mike Johnson says that if you don't vote for this bill, you'll have the highest tax increase you ever had. He's actually talking to the wealthiest Americans, and he's right. They would suffer a massive tax increase. According to Penn Wharton's analysis, combined, those policies could fall disproportionately on the poorest, including those near or below the poverty line, the economists found. People making between about $51,000 and $17,000 could lose about $700 on average in after-tax income beginning in 2026, according to the analysis, when factoring both wages and federal aid. The reduction would worsen over the next 8 years. People reporting less than $17,000 in income would see a reduction closer to $1,000 on average, also increasing over time. By contrast, the top 0.1%, including those with incomes over $4.3 million, would gain on average more than $389,000 in after-tax income in 2026, the data show. So the poor would lose another $700 to $1,000 per year, and the rich would gain another $389,000 per year. But sure, working class champions. Got it. The reality is that Donald Trump will say whatever he needs to say to get what he wants, and what he wants is a tax cut for people like him. If he or his party cared about the working class, they would deliver for the working class, but they don't. Costs of everything are going up. Healthcare costs are going up. Food costs are going up. Costs of imports that line the shelves are going up. And all the while, Donald Trump sees this as an opportunity to reward people in his tax bracket. Don't listen to what he says. Watch what he does. And what he's doing is handing a gift to the wealthiest Americans while yet again throwing the working class under the bus. Before you go, if you enjoyed this content and you want to see more and support independent media, please subscribe to this channel. The subscribe button will be right here on the screen. But second, the reality is that we are now in a political environment where this administration can lean on any of the social media platforms to suppress certain voices if they don't like critical coverage. That means my longevity here is in the hands of a few tech billionaires who are already making it clear that they are willing to cater to this administration. To that end, signing up for my newsletter is a way for me to reach you directly if that ever becomes necessary. I'll put the link right here on the screen as well, so please sign up. It's free, but there's also an option to do a paid subscription if you'd like to support me and my team. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching.